Syrian jihadis are attacking the Druze, and other jihadis are attacking the Jews. If all this jihad is giving you the blues, just remember that finally the jihadis will lose. Till then, we must labor with patience and care, because the jihadis could strike anywhere. Try to write a poem like that. I challenge everyone watching. And if you do, I will acknowledge you as a prophet, but I just don't think it can be done. We are here for This Week in Jihad, and David Wood is with us. David, do you think there was any jihad?
I'm guessing yes. I'm seeing the video didn't auto start. Let's see.
The video
Okay, yeah.
didn't auto start.
Yeah, someone said Jimmy the Jew from Philly said refresh video, and yeah, I did it and then it worked. So
Huh. Should I start over?
um Steph said I think it cut off the first 30 seconds. Might as well start over just for general principle.
I already threw the poem away. Let me see if I have it here. Yep, there it is.
That was a YouTube thing. That was a YouTube thing. It was giving the buffering thing while we were live until we refreshed. So
I don't know nothing about none of that. Sorry. All right, here we go. Syrian jihadis are attacking the Druze, and other jihadis are attacking the Jews. If all this jihad is giving you the blues, remember that finally the jihadis will lose. Till then, let us labor with patience and care, because the jihadis could strike anywhere. Try to write one like it, David. It can't be done.
well, I'm focused on something else, Robert. When you said patience and care, are you referring to the Council on American Islamic Relations and
Why,
saying
yes.
that we should work with care?
There are always levels and layers of meaning in these poems. They seem simple, but actually they are full of incredible sophistication. And so, yes, there was a slightly ironic mention of the Council on American Islamic Relations and an implicit rejection, actually, of the idea that we should collaborate with such people, because, of course, they are patently deceptive, as the cognoscenti have known all these years.
Everyone see, I was trying to build bridges and Robert just keeps blowing them up.
Right, we got a lot of blowing things up this week. Of course, the big story everybody knows is that there is an ongoing massacre of the Druze, and they are in southeastern Syria. They are not Muslims. They actually revere the Caliph al-Hakim, who was the caliph in the early part of the 11th century. And he is famous for leveling the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and destroying over 1,000 other churches in the Holy Land. And
Sounds like a real jerk.
yeah, he was a great guy, and he is their revered figure. He started to declare himself some sort of, I don't even remember now, some divine being or something. And anyway, there are, of course, people who believe it, as there are people who will just believe any fool thing. Not to say that the Druze are not suffering a great deal at this point, and we all need to stand with them. I need to emphasize that the jihad that is striking the Druze right now is the same as struck the Christians in Syria several weeks ago, and also is that which is arrayed against the Jews. And so you have all these different victim groups and one jihad, and that's one thing that people just don't seem to understand, and they refuse to understand, that these are all differing aspects of the same conflict.
Yeah, jihad's coming. When Allah said that He wants all religion to be for Allah, sounds like He actually meant it and wants everyone either dead or subjugated or converted.
Yeah, and of course, every Muslim, if you go out and say, Quran says fight them until religion is all for Allah in chapter 2, verse 193, and chapter 8, verse 39, and all these Muslims saying, oh, you're taking it out of context, oh, it doesn't mean this, you're stupid and you're evil, and so on and so on. And yet, there seem to be no shortage of Muslims in Syria who are doing exactly that in fighting the Alawites first. I've neglected to mention them before, and the Druze and the Christians as well.
Yeah, and this wasn't difficult to anticipate. You did have the media push to convince us that these jihadis from various terrorist groups had reformed because they were wearing suits now. And since they're wearing suits now, you know that they've actually reformed their jihadi ways. And that's what these guys were saying. Yeah, we were jihadis. That was so like 5 years ago. Now we're modern.
Now I have time.
Yes, now I have time. Now I want to build good society where everyone has liberty. I mean, yes. What do the Americans like to hear? What do they like to hear? Oh yes, and we want freedom and justice. Yes, this is what we want. We want freedom of space. Yes, this is what we want. So that's what they were doing. And but what you would expect from these guys is that it was all just a show, that they're pretending like they're reformed so that they can actually consolidate power. And they understand you can't. They tried it with ISIS, war in every direction, and they realized, okay, that doesn't actually work. What do you need to do? You need to take over an area when it's weakened, and then in order to appease Western nations, act like you want something that they're going to like while you establish yourself in the country.
So surely that must be against Islam, David. That must be completely forbidden to pretend you are on the side of your enemies and deceive them. Surely that violates every tenet of Islam.
Yeah, we haven't seen that for 1,400 years straight every single time. It's totally new. They keep, I mean, Robert, imagine you're, let's say you're a football team. Let's say it's, this isn't the case right now, but suppose it's like back in the day and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys and they're going to the Super Bowl. And imagine the Dallas Cowboys only have one play that they run over and over and over and over again. And just imagine being so incompetent that you go in there and you fall for the exact same play every single time, no matter how many times they run it. That's what it's like going through the history of jihad, seeing them use the same thing over and over and over again. And still, after 14 centuries of running one single play over and over again, here we are. Oh, look, they're on our side because they say so. Let's get along with them. Ah, why is there sword at our throat?
It's true. It's just crazy. I think it's a cultural thing. Would you agree? It's a cultural thing that in the West, I mean, it's like if you say somebody's a liar, it's your fault. You're the bad guy. And so if I go on, actually even now, the last couple days, if I go on some show and say, you know, Ashura, the president of Syria, I don't believe him when he says he's reformed because everything he's doing and allowing to be done goes against what he's saying. And it's like people think I'm the bad guy because not trusting people is like a grave sin in Western culture. I'm not quite sure where this comes from.
Yeah, because it can kind of work if the people around you are generally not lying to you and trying to take advantage of you in order to violently subjugate you. But when you have a group that's doing just that, and that they have a long history of doing that, and that they follow a prophet who did that, probably a good idea to be a bit suspicious, especially when you see Christians being killed, Druze being killed, and so on. But the concern here for me, Robert, is that you're going to have this government that is officially not on board with Christians and Druze and Alawites and so on being violently attacked and slaughtered and humiliated in various ways. but that you're going to just have these jihadis roaming free to do all this stuff. And the question is whether they're complicit in this, or whether the government's complicit in the attacks, or they just can't control them. Either way, it's bad. But it looks like a copy of Nigeria, right? It's going to be the same exact dynamic as in Nigeria, where the government says, "Oh, we're not with these jihadis," but sadly, we can't do anything to stop them when they're running around killing Christians left and right, and helping us take over all of Nigeria. That sort of situation where you can't tell what the government is, if the government's actually with them, or if the government is actually against them, but just doesn't want to be on their bad side, and so they don't stop them. Because either way, it doesn't really matter. You've got tons of jihadis killing non-Muslims with impunity.
And more than killing, you mentioned humiliating. And I saw a video earlier today of a guy. They say, what are you? He says, a Druze. And he starts slapping his face and pulling his mustache hairs out. And there were the forced shavings of the beards of some of the Druze leaders. One of them was mistreated so extensively as that was going on that he died shortly thereafter. And this is directly reminiscent of the Nazis forcing rabbis and other Jews to shave their beards in the camps in the 40s. Now, what is the humiliation aspect? Surely that has nothing to do with Islam.
That's part of that's part of the entire system. Ibn Kathir, in his commentary on Surah 9, verse 29, which is about fighting the Jews and Christians until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. He says that whole thing about paying jizya until they feel themselves subdued is about disgracing and humiliating them, to make them understand that they are second class, and that's the only way they're allowed to function. Now, a group like the Druze would be interesting because you're not sure exactly what category to put them in, because they didn't exist during the time of Muhammad. So they don't have some official status like a Jew could or a Christian could in theory. So it kind of depends on whether they treat them like, whether they give them the option of dhimmi status or not. But yep, it's all part of it. And we've seen the videos of Muslims bragging about this. Just imagine you go to a town and you get to completely humiliate this man in front of his family. What's his kid going to do? His kid's going to convert.
And that's also behind the rapes, is it not?
Yep.
Like the rape gangs in England.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's a way to avoid being raped, ladies. You just have to give up and convert, and everyone be Muslim. And then, of course, you're still going to get horribly abused, but it'll be quiet.
But as they get raped, it not only humiliates them, but it humiliates the entire community, that they couldn't defend or wouldn't defend the women, and they allow this to happen. And so, once again, the supremacy of Islam is declared.
Yeah, and that's, from the perspective of the Muslims, that's like, that's encouraging to them, right? Because they felt really weak. They lost their caliphate. They felt weak. They look around. All these other nations are more powerful. But man, we are gang raping the crap out of your daughter. So looks like Allah is still on our side, and that He's just going to conquer you in a different way from the way we conquered you in the past.
There you go. All right. Meanwhile, lots of other stories going on, David. Also out of Syria, I thought this one was interesting. This is George Isho, and he was a Christian in Homs, and he ran this jewelry store, Fadi Jewels, and he was harassed on a regular basis by masked gunmen, and they came ultimately to his jewelry store and demanded that he pay protection money. That is, he pays them and then nothing happens to his jewelry store. And he refused, and they shot him dead. Now, that reminded me of certain aspects of Islam. I suspect you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, well, before you had the mafia, you had the exact same principle in Islam. That, I mean, jizya is basically protection money. We're gonna we're going to keep coming at you and killing and slaughtering and doing what we want until you pay us basically protection money so that we don't attack you. And I've always wondered if the mafia actually picked it up from that, or if they just came up with the same brilliant idea.
I wouldn't be in the least surprised. As I point out in the history of jihad, the Muslims owned Sicily for a couple hundred years there in the 9th to 11th centuries. And so you have very strong possibility, seems to me, that that kind of thing became ingrained in the culture. And so I think there's a very good chance there could be a connection. Okay, let's go on from Syria. Lots more can be said about Syria, but there's so much other jihad, David, I'm afraid. So we have the same things going on in Nigeria that have always gone on, and they include the killing of 20 Christians in Plateau State. Fulani herdsmen, that is Islamic jihadis, killed 20 Christians in one area of the state, while predominantly Christian villages in another county in the state have suffered the slaughter of 80 of their residents since May. In Mangu County, herdsmen razed, that is, tore down 96 houses belonging to Christians and killed 2 Christians in the area on June 27th. Anyway, this is just part of the ongoing jihad. But David, I got a story here that's unusual, and that is that the jihadis are actually being stopped now by the government. The government of Nigeria this week jailed 44 men for involvement in Boko Haram, that is, books are bad, the jihad group, one of the 3 main jihad groups in Nigeria. 44 guys.
Well, I'm going to have to see a bit more from the government for that, because you always in these situations, now you have to wonder, is it just for show? It's like the Tommy Robinson pointed this out with the grooming gangs. He pointed out, hey, when you see them arrest 5 people and put 5 people on trial, guess what? There were hundreds of these guys involved in that town. They're putting the 5 on trial for a show to make it look like they did something. If they actually had to arrest all these guys, they wouldn't be able to hold, the prisons wouldn't be able to hold these guys, and there would be a much more of an uproar from the Muslim community if you start locking up massive numbers of people. So it's for a show. They grab a few people, because guess what? There's a lot more jihadis in Boko Haram than 44 people. If 44 people, I wouldn't worry about them, Robert. I wouldn't be concerned at all about them. So anyway, I guess it's better than nothing, because what we've seen from the government of Nigeria has been nothing. But I hope this is the start. I hope this is the start of something better, and not just a show to pretend like they're doing something.
Unfortunately, it's even worse. You may recall a story I believe that we spoke about, but may not have in the past, that in Nigeria, a lot of Boko Haram jihadis were put through a de-radicalization program.
Those always work.
Oh, yeah.
100% success rate.
And once they were, it actually is a 100% rate, but it's a 100% non-success rate. In any case, these guys.
Hey, I just wanted to point out on that note, I've seen a better success rate of people who leave Islam in prison. That seems more effective. People who conclude that Islam is false in prison. That seems more successful to me than I've ever seen from the de-radicalization program. So anyway, my point is, wouldn't it be a much better idea? You got people in prison, you've got a captive audience, literally a captive audience. Convince them that every reason they were given for becoming Muslims or remaining Muslims is complete nonsense. And then even if they don't leave Islam, you will have given them enough doubts about their religion that they don't want to go out and die for it. Seems like it would be much better, much more effective than, oh, Don't you know Islam is peaceful? It says right here, if anyone kills a man, it's as if he's killed all mankind. Like all these jihadis going to, oh, yeah, we missed that one. Yeah. Don't know how we ever missed that one when we're slaughtering people in the name of Allah and raping all these little girls. Anyway, sorry about that.
Yep. Well, there was another point in there, but I've lost it now.
Yeah,
What was it?
I interrupted you when I thought about we were making fun of the de-radicalization program. So we were
Oh,
talking about
a lot
Nigeria.
of them
Yeah.
go back in they join the military.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of these Boko Haram de-radicalized jihadis have gone into the Nigerian military. So I think that's all the more reason why we see so little action about the jihadis in the Nigerian government, that there's active support for the jihadis. They didn't go into the military because the military is against the jihadis, but rather because the military leaders are sympathetic. And so they thought, here's a way these guys can look reformed and keep doing what they're doing. During an evening worship service on Monday, July 7th, suspected Islamic extremists, this is Morning Star News, gunned down a Baptist pastor and another worshiper and kidnapped a woman in Katsina State, northwest Nigeria. Gunmen with Fulani accents stormed Bege B-E-G-E, Baptist Church in Yaribori Village, Kafir County. That one's going to have to change its name. Although actually Kafiristan still exists in Afghanistan, a place where Kafirs used to live, but they all
I would change the name of the United States to Kafiristan or something like that. And say, yeah, move here. What?
Well, they'll take it over. They'll just be like the Kafiristan in Afghanistan. They take it over, and then the name just
not the
becomes
way
ironic.
I'm going to run it. Not the way I'm going to run it, Robert. Everyone has to sign. Everyone's ID card, driver's license, all that stuff identifies them as a kafir.
When you're president for life of Kafiristan.
Mm-hmm. And I am going to send in the Marines. They are going to take over the Kaaba, not permanently, just take it over long enough to get the Black Stone. And every day I'm going to give my presidential address. I'm going to be holding the Black Stone, and I'm going to say, well, what's left of it. I'm going to be holding pieces of the Black Stone and say, okay, guys, if you go this entire day without a terrorist attack, this Black Stone will be safe. But if anyone launches a terrorist attack, it's going back in this bucket of pig guts, and that'll be on you. That'll be on you. And then after every terrorist attack, see what this group did? That's why the Black Stone is now in this bucket of pig intestines. That's on them. That's on them. That's how I would roll.
Got my vote. When you run for president for life of Kafiristan.
I will be firm yet fair.
Actually, in the place where there is a real Kafiristan, we got a couple of news items. In Afghanistan, the Taliban has enforced the rule, of course, that women have to wear niqab or burqa in public. That is, they have to cover their faces in public. Now, the Quran in chapter 24, verse 31 only says, draw their veils over their bosoms. So it doesn't actually say you got to cover your face. But how much a woman has to cover is always based upon whatever a man's tempted by. And if a man is tempted by her face, then it's got to be covered. So Afghanistan is requiring the face covering, and they are now administering electric shocks to women who do not go out with their face covered in Afghanistan.
You know, that's weird because I wouldn't mind administering some electric shocks to some guys during my de-radicalization program. The D-Wood de-radicalization program. There will be electric shocks, ladies and gentlemen, but they will come out de-radicalized.
So, one woman had been beaten and detained for being improperly dressed, even though she was wearing full-length clothing. Improper hijab was the charge because apparently her face wasn't covered. So, Anyway, that's Afghanistan. And meanwhile, I thought this was kind of wild. What was the picture name? Hang on. Okay. So, meanwhile, they want tourists to go to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I saw that. That actually made me want to go to Afghanistan, Robert. I'm not going to lie. I actually thought at least they're being funny, and so they got a sense of humor. The only time I ever saw these guys with a sense of humor is when that BBC reporter chick or CNN or whoever she was said, "And will women be able to have leadership positions here?" And the guys all started cracking up and told them to turn off the camera.
Yep.
But I was like, whoa, these are Taliban jihadis, and they're actually laughing. These guys got a sense of humor. So then when I saw this commercial, I was like, hey, these guys, it's cool. They're desperate for money, and so they want some tourist revenue. They understand that is one of the last places anyone on the planet would ever want to go. And so they're realizing they need to change their they need to change the way people view them. And so they're gonna be friendly now. And I'm just thinking, well, it would be kind of safe, because if you get that first batch of tourists over there and a D Wood shows up and they chop my head off, well, it's not going to go well for the future of tourism there. So they'd have to actually give me a free pass. So this would be a good time to go to Afghanistan.
Yeah,
we can do it, Robert. Let's go.
Okay. I'm gonna buy a ticket as soon as the show's over.
You, me, and AP.
Okay. Kabul. He Islamicized me in Kabul.
That would be legend.
Huge.
That would be legendary.
Yep.
Hey, you know what we could do? We could have we could do an Islamicize Me for stage version, like an hour-long version that's all like a play, and we could just do a touring play in Afghanistan. Islamicize Me. Yeah, Islamicize Me the play. That'd be cracking up laughing.
We'll do it in Kafiristan.
Darn right.
All right, slick marketing video. That's what that was. 5 heavily armed men seen standing over 3 prisoners whose heads are covered by black bags. You can see 2 of them are covered by black bags in the picture I've got here. And the guy in the back says, "We have one message for America." And he tears the bag off the head of the guy right in front of him, who immediately grins, flashes the thumbs up, and says, "Welcome to Afghanistan."
That's what I mean, guys. That was like a creepy, weird sense of humor that I actually like. It was done just like those old... That's what's crazy. They did it just like the old school terrorist videos where they're about to chop some dude's head off in front of everyone. It's like, "We have this message for the United States of America and you Western nations." The guy's got a bag over his head, pulls it off, and "Come to Afghanistan!" And it's a tourism promotion video. I'm like, okay. I actually like that sense of humor. I wish these guys weren't homicidal maniacs, but I like the sense of humor.
Yeah, that's the problem, that you get there and it ain't no joke. You get there and they're really taking it all seriously and chopping heads. So,
yeah. And we especially want you, young women, and your daughters, to come here for tourism.
Oh yeah.
And you find husband. I know man. He has many goats. He has many goats. He makes love to many goats, and he can provide for you with all his goats. Awesome place.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Where should we go, David? To some. You want a little stupid infidels? A little bit of stupid infidels might be in order.
Hey, Robert. I actually think it is kind of funny.
What's that?
So you've got Afghanistan, right? You've got this huge country. You could be farming that country. You could be doing all kinds of things. But it turns out being a terrorist for years doesn't actually train you well to run a country. And so now what are they doing? They're basically begging Western nations for help in any way. Just please, we will make Afghanistan a great tourist destination just to get some sort of incoming money. It's just, they always end up depending on Western nations. Always. It's weird.
Did you see a few years back, they actually made the niches where the Bamiyan Buddhas were, that they blew up And now there are these big empty spaces in the mountain where the Buddhas were carved, and they actually charge admission and sell tickets to go see the empty niches.
And don't you think there would be more people taking a pilgrimage there and spending money? There'd be more tourists coming to see this stuff if they hadn't blown them up?
Well, sure, except this is a big source of Muslim tourism now, because the Quran says in chapter 3, verse 137, and also repeated some other places, travel through the land and see the destiny of those who disbelieved. And the ruins, in other words, are a sign of the judgment of Allah. And so the empty spaces where the Buddhas used to be show Allah's victory over the Kafirs. And thus, it's a big Muslim tourist attraction.
And you can come to Afghanistan and go pee-pee on this old place and film yourselves going pee-pee to degrade this.
It's a great place.
Yeah, gotta love Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah. So we have, over in the UK, meanwhile, Mohammed Hanif Khan. There he is. Now, David, this is kind of a math problem. Back in 2011, that guy on the screen, Mohammed Hanif Khan, he was sentenced for raping a young boy. He is, by the way, an imam, a Muslim cleric.
Well, they all are.
And, yes. And he was sentenced to 16 years in prison. 2011. Got that?
Yep.
And just last week, he was sentenced to 13 years in prison for repeatedly raping a young boy while working as a teacher at a mosque in Bradford, England. And Judge Smith said that you could have told us about the fact that you were in prison before for raping a little boy, but you chose not to do so. And I am satisfied that you do continue to present a risk of committing such offenses. So, in 2011, he gets 16 years for child rape, and in 2025, he gets 13 years for another child rape. But shouldn't he still have been in prison?
Well, yeah, they have this ongoing problem that they keep needing to release people to make room for all the people who criticize Islam on Facebook. So they need to keep letting the child molesters and jihadis out of prison to make room for all the people who say, "Hey, we're concerned about all the jihadis and child molesters." So they have to keep clearing out the prisons, and so they let these guys back out. But it is weird that the government just had no idea that this guy might be doing the same thing again, and had no idea that he had done it before. If only there were a way to, keep a record of someone and what he's done, so that you make sure he's not in a position to do it again.
Also, David, I got to ask you, because a lot of people will say, well, rape, it's a terrible thing, but there are people who are rapists of all cultures and all backgrounds. So you're just a racist, bigoted Islamophobe for mentioning this on a jihad show. But is there something particularly Islamic in regard to this?
Well, yeah. So you have, of course, in Islam that even prepubescent girls are viewed as sexual partners and so on. You have the idea that you can rape people for various reasons and so on, such as being captives and such. You have these weird things about the boys of paradise and so on, but regardless of the origin, it just became a thing in Islam that it's very common for men to rape young boys, and you're not viewed as gay before he gets a beard. Up until once he gets a beard, if you keep having sex with him, then you're regarded as gay, and that would be bad. But as long as it's a young boy, you're good to go.
Might that have anything to do with some of the texts in the Hadith and Sirah literature? Surely not. I don't know, David. I don't know. It sounds Islamophobic to me.
It is.
The Southport attack was a year ago. Very terrible attack by a man from Rwanda, who later it was discovered that he had Al Qaeda literature in his house, and so it was initially not reported that there was any jihad connection. But the guy, apparently, he could be a convert to Islam, a jihadi. There were lots of protests after the murders of these little girls last year, and the British government came into under a lot of criticism for not stopping the mass migration of Muslims, including jihadis and others, and they ruthlessly cracked down on the Britons who were protesting, not on the jihadis or on other criminal migrants. And so this year they added insult to injury, telling the public not to lay memorials for the anniversary of those attacks. And it reminds me of actually when I was actually banned from Britain, I was going to lay a wreath. Pamela Geller and I were going to lay a wreath at the memorial for Lee Rigby, who was killed by an Islamic jihadi on a street in London. And the jihadi then went over holding the bloody cleaver in his hands and started to quote the Quran and explain to somebody who was filming, for some reason, the Quranic justification for what he had done.
Yeah, he stands there and gives a lecture.
Yes.
Gives a lecture on why this guy behind me has been almost beheaded.
Kind of amazing, really, because these things, he explained it all. That same guy, incidentally, when he was sentenced by the judge said, and you got to study Islam. You don't know anything about your beautiful, peaceful religion. And he starts yelling at the judge, what are you talking about? I know all about Islam. You're the one who doesn't know anything about Islam. And of course, that judge was just one in the long line of non-Muslim judges who claim to know about Islam and do not.
Yeah, I've always found that like the weirdest thing. Islam is the one topic where the less you know about it, the more of an expert you think you are. It's like every politician who's never opened a Quran ever in his life, he's just heard it from the people who came before him that it's wonderful and it's religion of peace. He will think he is an expert. Any journalist who's never studied the Muslim sources at all will all in an instant not hesitate to correct you, who spent decades studying Islam and its history and written piles and piles of books. They will instantly consider themselves experts who can correct you. And even, as we've seen, experts who can correct jihadis.
Yes.
And you guys don't know your religion. I know your religion. How do you know our religion? I know your religion because I keep hearing about how peaceful it is all my life. I keep being told this. I keep being told this all my. But I mean, just imagine. I'm trying to think of another subject where the less you know, the more of an expert you think you are. Like it wouldn't work in anything else. I mean, like you wouldn't say, I know nothing about math, therefore I'm an expert mathematician and I can go to MIT and correct this guy who's spent his entire life as doing math, and he's a math professor. I know more than you. Ha ha, you dumb idiot. I'll correct you on math. It would make zero sense. But in Islam, yes, the more you study, the less of an expert you are, and the less you study, the more of an expert you are. It's just it's amazing.
Really, it's all about whether you toe the line or not. If you... Karen Armstrong was a nun. She didn't study Islam. She didn't have a degree in Islam. And they all fell all over themselves, the leftist intelligentsia as well as Islamic apologists, saying Karen Armstrong was this great expert on Islam. But anybody else who might have exactly the same credentials, who does not say the things that they once said, then that person doesn't know anything about Islam. May be far better trained and far more knowledgeable than Karen. But anyway. All right. Here's kind of an ambiguous one. I was interested to know what you thought of it. It took place in Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah, this is Guy House. Guy E. House. And he is in Lexington, Kentucky. He was in Lexington, Kentucky. He went into a church, Richmond Road Baptist Church in Lexington, last Sunday, started shooting, killed 2 people, seriously wounded 2 others. And Guy E. House was shot dead in the cross as the state troopers came to stop it all. And there is a picture from his Facebook page, and you can see that he's wearing a kufi and a keffiyeh. And I went to his Facebook page myself, found 8 or 10 other pictures just like that, without him giving the finger. And also lots of pictures where he's not wearing this garb. No reference whatsoever, that I saw anyway, to Islam, to conversion, nothing like that. Rumors that he converted in prison. He did just get out of prison not long ago, and prisons are indeed hotbeds of jihad recruitment. But no, if he did convert
Not
in
while
prison,
I'm there, Robert.
if he did convert in prison, there's no indication of it on his Facebook page, which I also thought it was odd that I was also perusing his Facebook page a few days ago with no trouble. They didn't take it down. Usually they take these things down right away. Somebody does a shooting and all their social media vanishes. But this guy's they kept up. I don't know what that's all about. But I wondered, did you have any
Are you wondering
opinion on it?
are you wondering like if they had gone to the page and it was Allahu Akbar, I slaughter them in the name of Allah, then it would have been taken down really quickly.
Yeah,
But
that did cross my mind, yeah.
since there's none of that, it's let everyone come over here. It's just like when there's a terrorist attack and it's like some mental white dude or something like this. They say, and this is a mental white dude, you see, and it's like they say that 5 seconds after the attack. Whereas if it's a jihadi screaming Allahu Akbar with his manifesto and why he wanted to kill the unbelievers in the name of Allah, it takes like 3 weeks to get the info before the info is released and before the name's released.
Yeah. Well, I do think that may have something to do with it. I mean, he does have a lot of pictures like this. And, you know, the Palestinian scarf is one thing. That's kind of fashionable nowadays.
Yeah.
But to wear the hat, that's...
It's the combination of the kufi that
Exactly.
makes it a little more suspicious. Yeah, if it had just been the other garb, I'd have thought, okay, leftist, because that's just a cool thing to do now. But whatever the case is for this gay house guy, gay house guy, that'd be funny.
He did have pictures of bottles. He liked to take pictures of bottles of liquor that he was apparently drinking. And so that also cuts against the possibility that he was a convert. On the other hand, there have been plenty of jihadis who were drunk when they were doing the jihad, because
they believe your sins are wiped out if you die in a jihad attack. You can do whatever you want, so they'll go to strip clubs. And we've heard that's the same thing we heard for years, that this person who died screaming Allahu Akbar while slaughtering unbelievers, he wasn't a serious Muslim, because look, here are these pictures of him clubbing back in the day, and here's a picture of him doing this and that. It's like, you guys don't realize it. One, the guys who spent their lives clubbing, they're in panic mode about whether they're actually going to make it to paradise, whether their good deeds are going to outweigh their bad deeds and so on. So if you give them a guarantee, dying for Allah while slaughtering unbelievers is a guaranteed trip to paradise, well, then that's a good deal from their perspective. But also the guys who are plotting a terrorist attack and they know they're going to carry one out. Hey, I know 3 days from now, no matter what I do for the next 3 days, it's all forgiven. So I might as well bang every prostitute, drink everything, smoke everything, do whatever I want, because 3 days from now, I am good as gold with Allah, because I'll kill a bunch of people.
Yep. And meanwhile, the Islamic Republic of Iran is trying to kill a bunch of people.
Shocker.
And foremost among them is Trump. And interestingly enough, the Islamic Republic of Iran has just issued a detailed fatwa explaining that Americans and Israelis are now kufar harbi, that is, infidels at war with Islam, and can lawfully be killed according to Islamic law. So they're doing this all by the book and saying that Trump because he called for the death of Khamenei, which actually is kind of weird because he didn't. He called for Khamenei not to be killed. But apparently they're just running with the idea that he called for the death of Khamenei, and so he has to be killed in response.
Yeah, I didn't follow everything, but it sounded to me like Israel wanted to take him out, and then Trump vetoed that and said, "No, don't take him out. You can take some of the other stuff out, but not him."
That's exactly what happened. And then he wrote saying, Khamenei should be grateful to me because I spared his life. And anyway, they ain't grateful. They're issuing Islamic justifications for killing him.
I would live it up a little more if I were president. I would say, "Oh, okay, so I actually saved your life and you have zero gratitude and you say how you want me dead? Fine. BB, whatever you do, fine with me. Fine with old Donnie Trump. Do as you will. Do with him as you will."
Once again, David, you got my vote. All right.
Have your way. Have your way with him.
I like your X-Acto knife telephone as well.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
a good phone.
Yeah, this all of us presidents have them. It's people don't know.
It's intimidating to have a blade like that, and you need to have that factor when you're a great leader. All right. Also, out of the Islamic Republic of Iran, they've been busy. It used to be that about 20 cities had banned walking dogs, but now it's become a nationwide ban. It is against the law to walk a dog in Iran. It is not against the law to have a dog as a pet, interestingly enough, but you can't walk it, so you essentially can't really have it. But they decided to outlaw walking the dog rather than owning the dog, because keeping dogs, says Khamenei, damages Islamic culture. Why would Islam be upset about dogs?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't even know what I've never looked at what the Shia hadiths say about dogs and so on.
Oh, I got them. I put them at the Jihad Watch on the story, and they're exactly the same.
Interesting.
In essence, I went through our coffee and got the Shia hadith about dogs being unclean and should be killed and all that.
Interesting. Except Dia al-Kalbi, Dia the dog. He's in a special category. But yeah, guys, so in the Sunni hadiths, at least, and Robert's saying the Shia hadiths say the same thing. But yes, basically, Muhammad was waiting for a meeting with Jibril, a.k.a. Dia al-Kalbi, his boyfriend, who didn't show up because he was scared of dogs. And so Muhammad didn't know why he'd been stood up for his little date. So he was wondering, and then found out there was a little puppy hiding in his house, and so that puppy had to die, and then he gave the orders to kill all dogs, and it said they actually went out and were finding anyone, like even Bedouins and stuff who had dogs and stuff, and slaughter all of them. Eventually, so originally it was just kill all dogs, get rid of them, wipe them out completely. But some of his followers eventually complained, wait, we got hunting dogs, they help us and stuff like that. So he made some exceptions and then clarified, you definitely have to kill a black dog. You definitely have to kill black dogs because those have shaitan in them. And so it's basically now, if you have a dog that is for a purpose, like a hunting dog or something like that, but there's still no concept of having a dog just as a pet. You don't keep a dog as a pet. You can have a dog as some sort of special work animal or something like that, but you don't just have a pet. With that said, Robert, I'd just like to draw a comparison. Between Iran and an awesome place like the United States of America. Robert, you probably don't pay attention to comic book movies and so on, but the new Superman movie just came out last Friday, so it hasn't even been a week. New Superman movie came out. And in this one, they never put his dog in there. In the comics, Superman has a dog, Krypto. He appears occasionally, but it's known that he has this super dog. The dog is also from Krypton and has superpowers. Other than that, it's just a normal dumb dog, but it has superpowers. So anyway, they put Krypto in the movie. Spoiler alert, everyone. If you haven't seen it, you're about to. Krypto saves the day in like 10 different ways during the movie. But right after, just with the weekend of that movie coming out, dog adoptions soared 500% here in the United States. So if any of you in Iran have to get rid of your dogs to avoid them being massacred by the Ayatollah, send them over here. People are adopting them like crazy.
Yep.
Because we're better than your Ayatollah. You ever trust anyone who just hates dogs in general and says they have to die?
Well, there you go. And here's Muhammad in Shia Hadith. It is detestable for a Muslim to allow a dog to live in his house. Whoever keeps a dog every day 1 qirat is reduced from the good deeds of his owner. There's nothing good in dogs except hunting dogs or that which guards cattle.
Oh, you're right. Then that is exactly what you find in the Sunni Hadith. So this is one of those instances where they say exactly the same thing.
Indeed. So that's one thing they're doing in Iran. Also, they just were embarrassed by the Israelis and the Americans when the Israelis and Americans destroyed their nuclear program, or at least set it severely back. And now we have the reason. Did you see this, David? Let's see. Abdullah Ganji, who is the former editor of a newspaper that was connected to the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, he said, after the recent war, a few sheets of paper were found on the streets of Tehran containing talismans with Jewish symbols. In the first year of the Gaza war, news also leaked out about Netanyahu meeting with occult specialists. A few years ago, the supreme leader stated that hostile countries and Western and Hebrew intelligence services use occult sciences and jinn for espionage. So that's why they won. It was the jinn.
Hey, I remember that. That used to be in Dearborn.
Yep. Might still be there for all I know.
Nice. I got a picture of myself in front of that sign somewhere, but with giving the thumbs up. But yeah, I mean, it must be encouraging. It must be encouraging if you're Israel and your enemies have to attribute your victories to the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we helped out. We had Hezbollah's back, and the Jews blew all their testicles off. They must be working with jinn.
Must be it.
Hey, they somehow figured out where all of our leaders and everyone having to do with our nuclear program is and blew them all up. They must be consulting demons. No, they're just way, way, way smarter than you guys who are products of 40 generations of first cousin marriage.
There you go. All right, usual run of stuff. Let's see here. This is just a still photo from the Australian news. Stabbing outside shopping center. Man yelling Allahu Akbar in moments after the attack. And you see the caption for what he's saying. He's repeating it. So yet another stabbing of random people in Australia. In Germany, a man stabbed his wife in the back in Bavaria. Danon G, who is from Yemen, stabbed the mother of his 6 children to death because she wanted a divorce. And she had already contacted the police regarding her husband's violence ever since she arrived in Germany. What is that all about?
Well, obviously sad situation, and you do have situations where a parent loses their mind and just kills everyone. That sort of thing happens, but killing of family members happens more frequently in Islam because there's this ongoing thing, Robert, where if someone is getting too far out of line, you actually put them in the apostate category, the heretic category, or the just you're not actually living as a Muslim category, and You have all sorts of justifications for killing people like that. Muhammad even said, carry out Allah's penalties against your own family members and so on. And so, hey, my entire family is about to become non-Muslims, at least in practice. They're not doing things right. I'll just kill them all and keep my family honor.
And so another story out of Pakistan. A man murdered his daughter because she refused to delete her TikTok account. Same thing you're saying, that he told her what to do, she didn't do it, so therefore
people
yes
now people can make movie clips just using AI. You just tell it what to do and it actually makes it looks real. I'd like to do an Islamic version of that Braveheart scene. There's that Braveheart scene where he says, they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. But like the Islamic version would be like, they may take my freedom, but they'll never take my honor, as he's like murdering his entire family.
Yep. I should have put this one with the Jews sending jinn to defeat the Iranians. But anyway, it's not too late, assuming I find the picture. There it is. This is a TV host in Egypt, and his name is Mohammed Musa. And he was teaching on his show that the Protocols of the Elders of Zion outlines plan to drown the world in a soccer craze in order to distract Arabs and prevent them from making any progress in their societies. So you see, Muslim countries are backward and economically bereft because they're all playing soccer because the Jews made them.
Got a point. Isn't it just amazing? Like, the Jews, not just in Islam, but in general, just become like the scapegoat for anything like that sucks. And you just, the Jews are doing that. Oh, what? Why is this happening? The Jews. But it's just like, it's dialed up in Islam. The Jews are making us love soccer.
Yep. And so we play soccer all day and don't progress.
Yeah. Guys, I just want to say a quick word about psychology, Robert. There's a concept called locus of control in psychology. And it's sort of like, what it means is like what you personally view as the primary cause of why you're in whatever situation you're in life. And it's usually just internal or external. Meaning, do you view yourself as the primary cause of your situation in life? In other words, if you're successful, are you the primary cause? If things suck, are you the primary cause of that? Or do you view the primary cause of your situation in life as external? It's other things that are causing you to be that way. It turns out it's psychologically healthier to have an internal locus of control, because it means if you view yourself as if you've got a problem, you're the cause. That means you can focus. You have the ability to change that. If you believe that other factors are causing you to be in some sucky situation, you feel helpless and so on. And so people think that it would be healthier to view other people as the cause of whatever situation you're in, because, well, then you don't feel guilty. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. But no, it turns out you actually stagnate because you think you're helpless. You're helpless pawns of other people. And just imagine you've got the entire ummah, and they have this massive external locus of control. The Jews are controlling everything, and they are mere helpless. Their countries are mere helpless pawns and all that. It's like, you guys have already, like, how do you ever progress? Everything that happens, you're mere victims of the Jews. You can't get out of it because the Jews are way smarter than you, and they will blow your testicles off with pagers. There's nothing you can do. And you fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. You can't stop them. You can't break off. You can't break away from that awesome power they have. And so you're just doomed to completely, forever be completely under their control. It's pathetic, Robert. It's pathetic.
Unless you kill them all.
That's right. That's what you're trying to do. It's the only way we can stop loving soccer so much and stop wasting so much time looking at dumb soccer is if we kill all the Jews. That's why Allah wanted us to kill all the Jews. What? This is so stupid and dysfunctional.
Yes. That could be the name of this show.
Stupid and dysfunctional Islamic
This week
culture.
in Stupid and Dysfunctional. All right, super chat time. And so we have our old friend Abu Bakr al-Pafdadi. What would be our advice to the U.S. government, Trump administration, regarding Syrian jihadi government persecution of the Druze, rather? I think we talked about this last week, that the idea that Trump had of bringing Ashara, the president of Syria, around and making him some sort of partner is crazy. It's foredoomed. The Syrian regime has now attacked the three main minorities, religious minorities in Syria: the Christians, the Alawites, the Druze. The Trump administration should be being very tough on them with economic sanctions and military encirclement, and none of that is happening.
You have to say Trump is good at issuing threats and stuff like that, but I would I would say, guys, we've given you a chance that you did not deserve. You are literal freaking terrorists. And you said you were reforming and you weren't going to be terrorists. And we gave you the benefit of the doubt. And you right now are breaking that trust. Just want you to know, the path forward is up to you. If you want us to regard you as no longer terrorists, you need to show that you are no longer terrorists, and you need to crush whoever is going around killing or humiliating people and so on. And if you don't, we just have to conclude that you are officially a terrorist regime, and that all that was for show. And we're going to treat you very, very differently based on that.
Precisely.
And we will give, and since Israel has taken it upon themselves to protect the Druze, even in Syria, just so you know, I am writing a blank check for as many rockets and so on as Israel needs to protect the Druze. So if you want to keep that up, see where it leads.
Okay, Kurt Henneman says, are Muslims allowed to have non-Muslim friends? No, that's explicitly forbidden in the Quran. Obviously some Muslims will, because not everybody goes by what the book says, but that's what the book says, 551. I quote the Quran when told, I have a Muslim friend. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
and there is an exception, of course, Surah 3, verse 28, where if it's to deceive them into thinking that you like them because you're outnumbered by them, then you're allowed to be friends. With all of that said, there are plenty of Muslims who have Christian friends and Jewish friends and so on. They're just not following their religion very seriously.
Precisely again. Okay, ABPD says, I heard reports that Houston Airport has a new prayer room fitted for Islamic prayer, segregated rooms, and ablution stations. What's up with Texas? They just think they're being diverse. It's Texas officials, like to officials everywhere else, have no clue. Right? What do you think, David?
Yeah, I have to say I don't really care if an airport wants to have rooms for everything. Here's a lactation room. Here's a prayer room for Muslims. Here's a prayer room for this or that. I don't really care. I
was in University of Michigan in Ann Arbor years and years ago. Debated Mustafa Akyol, the big liar, moderate Muslim, and
you're gonna have to be more specific, Robert.
Yeah.
The big liar is like every Dawa guy out there.
What was that other guy's name? He's kind of dropped off the map. Oh, Shadid Lewis. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, Shadid, yeah.
Yeah, and anyway...
I was there.
You were there. And they had an ablution station in the men's room. And I thought, well, this is a public university. They ought to have holy water for the Catholics or something, you know? But anyway, they only had Islamic stuff at taxpayer expense. All right, ABPD. Your response to Apostate Prophet's appearance at TPUSA conference was great. Is this a sign that anti-jihad is going mainstream? Hope so. What do you think?
We certainly hope so. And it's kind of difficult because conservatives, Republicans, and so on, they don't want to alienate Muslims and Muslim voters. In other words, they would like Muslims to share their same ideas, and it's hard to do if you're like blasting away at Islam constantly. So it's difficult, but at the same time, you have to deal with jihad. So you have to, and so that's always been the creepy thing about Islam. It's that the violent ones will use the nice ones to silence you, right? Mm-hmm. They kind of work together like yin and yang, even regardless of their intention. It doesn't matter what their intentions can be as pure as the driven snow. That's what they actually function as in practice. In other words, right? I want to blast away at Muhammad for having sex with a 9-year-old girl to expose him as not a pattern of conduct that the Quran says he is. So I want to blast away at him for that. But if I have Muslim friends and I want to get along with them, I can't just be blasting away and calling him pedophile and things like that, because then they're not gonna want to be friends. And so it's like, okay, I want to do this and I want to expose it to like undermine the jihad and people's confidence in Islam and so on, but you'll offend these guys that you want to get along with, and so everyone has this difficult situation to deal with right now. An entire political parties. We want to get along with these guys, but we have to stop these guys. And so I think it's I would actually like some massive statement and agreement that everyone is on the same page. And it would just be along the lines of something like this. Hey, all you peaceful Muslims who say Islam is wonderful and peaceful and shouldn't be criticized. Either you deal with these jihadis and stop them and convince them that they're wrong, or we're going to deal with them. But the way we would deal with them would be telling them that their religion is false and exposing them. That's how we don't believe in their religion. We believe their religion is the source of this problem. So you guys believe in the religion. You don't think the religion is bad. Okay, fine. You convince them not to keep killing us, not to be banging little girls, not to be doing all these things. You convince them of that. But if you can't, then we're going to deal with it, and here's how we're going to deal with it. So just understand, when we're blasting your prophet, calling him a pedophile, all these things, that's geared towards dealing with these guys, which you can't do. So don't get too mad at us. We can actually get along. We can hang out. Just understand, we're dealing with a problem that you can't deal with. So, and if you don't want to be friends with us because of that, fine, bye. That's how I'd be.
This is actually a controversy been going on a long time on the right. Way back in 2007, when I debated Dinesh D'Souza at CPAC, it was a big issue, and the idea that we had to tone it down and court moderate Muslims, that has won the day, but the moderate Muslims haven't done a thing to stop their co-religionists from blowing stuff up, so maybe it needs revisiting. All right, John Wilson says, "Oh, people of the chat, may I recommend that you purchase Robert Spencer's books? Thanks, John. I have 3 sitting on my desk right now, and they're excellent reading. Appreciate that." And we have ABPD. On another note, are you following your baseball team, the A's, even though they are no longer based in Oakland? What are your thoughts? No, I don't follow baseball anymore. When it went woke with COVID, I kind of thought, why am I wasting my time on this? And also, I didn't think they should move out of Oakland. I liked that ballpark, actually. I'm the only guy who liked it, but in any case, I will never be there again. Yes,
one
sir.
second, Robert. One second,
Yeah.
Robert. So you just read a second ago, you read from John Wilson. He said, "Oh, people of the chat, may I recommend that you all purchase Robert Spencer's books? I have 3 sitting on my desk right now, and they're excellent reading." People actually can comment on super chats. And Kane Corso Mom, if you're still watching this, because this was several minutes ago, Kane Corso Mom, if you're still on, you said, "If I had the money, I'd order all of them and Raymond Ibrahim's books." And I'm not going to buy you all of Robert Spencer's books, but because he has a ton, And this isn't for everyone else. Don't be sending me messages saying buy all my books. But Kane Corso Mom, since you sound like you're actually interested in reading them, you can on my channel, on my YouTube channel, you can find a way to email me, make a little gift list on Amazon, and put the books of Roberts that you're most interested in, and the books of Raymond Ibrahim that you're most interested in, and I'll grab some of those for you. So make a wish list on Amazon. Send me your Amazon wish list, and I'll go ahead and grab some of those for you.
That's very kind of you, David. Thank you. I was just looking for her remark, but I couldn't find it. But in any case, appreciate that very much.
Yes, on the super chats, there'll be a little comment button, and then you can click on the comments.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right, so we have Coltrane says Roman sources verify the existence of Jews and Christians, but nothing about Muslims. So in historical contexts, Jesus couldn't have been a Muslim, nor anyone else for that matter. Well, sure, Jesus couldn't have been a Muslim because Islam wasn't invented yet. And those who claim that Abraham and Moses and Jesus were Muslims, that's all retrojection. It's not real history. All right, Kurt Hanneman says, I was told in Israel we don't believe in Jews marrying non-Jews, so we had to marry abroad. Did I experience anti-Semitism as a goy? I don't even know if I understand the question. You wanted to marry somebody? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't get it. I was told in Israel we don't believe in Jews marrying non-Jews, so we had to marry abroad. It sounds like he was marrying a Jewish woman,
and he's not Jewish.
His family was gonna have a problem with that, so they had to marry someone else. And then, but why would that be? I guess him experiencing. Wait, anti-Semitism?
It's not anti-Semitism, Kurt. You got to find another word for it. Anti-Semitism is hating Jews.
Discrimination or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Ari Wasserman says, what do Muslims do about the aortic dilemma? Nothing that I know of. They ignore it. I don't know. David, you ever known any that have dealt with it?
You mean about Muhammad dying, saying he could feel his aorta being severed or something?
That's what I assume he's referring to. Maybe you should fill us in on what that is for those who may not know.
Yeah, so the Quran, Surah 69:44 through 46, I believe, Allah says that if Muhammad were to fabricate revelations, he would kill him by severing his aorta. And then after Muhammad is poisoned by a Jewish woman, he spends a couple years in horrible agony as it did internal damage. And he eventually dies saying he feels his aorta being severed. And so the main response I see is that it uses two different words for aorta. The Quranic, they both refer to the same thing. They both refer to the aorta because you can, even in English, people call it the life artery and some people call it the aorta and so on. But you can use different words. And so they say, it's different words, but it's the same thing, but it uses different words. So it's not talking about the same thing. And it's like, that's really, really weak. That would be like me saying, if I'm a false prophet, I will drown in a pool of water. And then later I'm drowning and I'm going, I'm drowning in a pool of H2O. It's so much H2O, I'm dying. And then I die. And you go, that proves you're a false prophet. Because you said if you were a false prophet, you would die like that. And then someone says, but he said he was drowning in H2O, not water. It's like, yeah, that's referring to the same thing. So anyway, but so that's kind of a rough situation for them.
Okay. Racism against Kafiristani immigrants is terrible. Yes, it is. Completely agree. Chad Winger, the ultimate Dawa destroyer. Would you support a free Zudistan? That one's for you, David.
Yes. The descendants of the people of Al-Zut must be protected.
Skyscraper philosophy. Yes.
Hey, Robert. I don't know if I think I told you and so on, but yeah, Raymond Ibrahim put it out there, and I've been hearing about it for years, but I never actually made a video about it. But I decided to make a video about it, about the people of Al-Zut. Mm-hmm. But I get all these comments from Indian dudes who are like, "I'm so proud of my ancestors for doing that to him." And it's pretty funny. So,
oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
All right, skyscraper philosopher. I'm a Zionist enemy of Islam and fan of both of you, but I disagree with you here. Atrocities committed by both sides. Most of Syrian Druze actually oppose the Druze leader fighting, creating more enemies. Well, there are atrocities committed by everyone at various times. There is no, as the scriptures tell us, there's no one who's without sin, and no group that is without sin. But we are talking about jihad here, and so we speak about victims of jihad. That is not to say, this is a common misunderstanding that people have. If your group is a victim of jihad, and I speak about it, it does not mean that I endorse everything that group does. Nor does it mean that that group is sinless. A group can be very nasty to other groups and do all sorts of terrible things, but if it's a victim of jihad, I will still talk about it here.
Yeah, like you even have minority Muslim groups who are attacked by other Muslim groups. We'll report on that, and we'll say, hey, look, they're waging jihad against you. It does not mean we agree with the group that's being attacked, or that we're condoning everything they've ever done, or it's just jihad is jihad.
David, that's an excellent point, because actually I've covered for years the persecution of the Ahmadiyya, who are nasty people. I've never met one that came even remotely close to their love for all, hatred for none slogan. I know you have, but every one of them that I've met is some of the personally unpleasant people that I've ever encountered. And yet I will always speak about the Ahmadiyya and their persecution. And it's the same. And then, I speak about Hindus, and people say, oh, the Hindus did these terrible things. How can you speak about Hindus? Same thing, folks. If they're victims of jihad, I speak about the jihad. I'm not endorsing anything else that any group does. And it just has nothing to do with the discussion, really. Okay. So if the Druze have done terrible things, I'm sorry to hear, but I still stand with the Druze against the Sunni jihadis. John Davis. RS, that's me. I'd like to arrange a debate between you and a Catholic answer apologist. Francis is right that Islam is a religion of peace. 500, you and the apologist. I'd call it a bargain, the best I ever had. John, I don't know. I did that a few years ago. You can hear the audio of the debate. It was with Monsignor Stuart Sweatland, I think his name was. Kind of an unusual name. I always call him Strickland, but I believe it was Sweatland. And he said that Islam was peace. He also said I was a heretic because I was in the Catholic Church at that time. And that was one of the things got me thinking about the authority structures in the Catholic Church that would lead somebody to think that he had to say Islam is a religion of peace because the Pope said it was. And ultimately I got out. I know those guys at Catholic Answers. They're nice guys. I'd be happy to do it again, but it would be the same thing. They might not call me a heretic because I'm not a Catholic now. So anyway. John, you want to set it up? I'll debate anybody. You don't have to pay nothing. Yeah?
Yeah, John. So Robert just agreed to do it. And if for some reason they check out what Robert said and said, we don't want to do this again, it's just going to be the same, then I'd be happy to do it too.
There you go.
So tell them to take their pick. Anyone, matter of fact, I can name 20 people on our side who'd be happy to correct them on that issue.
Great.
Yes. Of course, they could just debate Allah and Muhammad.
They could.
That would be funny. Just program an AI with all the stuff Allah and Muhammad said, and then let them debate that.
Yeah, I did a debate like that once. Shoot, I can't remember the guy's name. But it was one of those ABN debates 100 years ago. And I just quoted, I had all the quotes, and I didn't do anything the whole time, but just keep quoting Muhammad in the Quran. And
that's
so
funny.
He was debating against Muhammad in the Quran. Max Jarrow sends a super sticker. Thank you, Max. Mother Hulda says, thoughts on the elderly man in Spain who was beaten and then the subsequent mosque that was burned? Got your book in the mail today. Thanks, Ma. I was actually going to talk about the elderly man in Spain who was beaten, 68-year-old man, just beaten at random by Muslim migrants. Not in favor of burning mosques. I'm in favor of not having the mosques there to start with because there's nobody that would go to them. And that would be not having immigration policies that are suicidal. once you have the mosques there, you shouldn't be burning them down. You need to work through legal channels. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I haven't followed the story enough. I've seen people posting about it on Twitter and stuff like that, but I wasn't really following it. So,
Okay. But we are, I think we can safely say, we're on record against burning mosques down.
definitely.
Drew Traver says, so the Ayatollah is worried about the Jewish jinn. I wonder with him being Shia if he knows about the big black jinn Muhammad had to deal with. All right.
The men of Al Zut.
What do you mean username? Says, but what do you mean username? David, tell us the story about Plato's Republican dogs.
Oh, I guess because we were talking about dogs. I've only told that story like 17,000 times. But very quickly, if you have the deadliest, most fearsome soldiers on the planet, how are you going to avoid those soldiers who have all the power eventually just taking over the city and subjugating everyone? And they wondered how it would be possible. And then they realized that there's a dog who's trained to be hostile towards people it doesn't know or people who are dangerous to someone, but so loving and friendly that you could leave a dog with your, you can leave a baby with your dog, and that dog would fight to the death to protect that baby and not take over the family and not subjugate everyone. So they said, okay, we have to raise our soldiers to be like that. But that taught them that it is possible to have those two natures combined in one creature.
Okay. Sravan Kumar Nuna says, when Islamophobia, defined as irrational fear of Islam, is used for their defense, do you think we should coin a term like Islamophronia, which can mean rational, reasonable, and legitimate fear of Islam? People have all sorts of words like that. I used to use Islamo-realists a lot, Islamo-realism. I was on a show a couple weeks ago, and the guy was saying, Rahul Sur, actually, an Indian scholar of Islam, saying Islamofactism or something like that, which I thought was very close to Islamo-realism. People coin these words, but getting everybody to use them is another matter.
Yeah, that's the power of a word like Islamophobia. It's very catchy, very catchy. Yes. And then if everyone's criticizing Islam at some point over something, and you can just respond by that and use that to block any criticism of Islam, that spreads really quickly, whereas the alternatives that you put out might not be as catchy and don't spread as rapidly. So you got to give it to them. Hats off to them for coming up with a word, a stupid word that, as it's been pointed out, is used to manipulate morons.
Yes.
You got to give it to them. I mean, silencing journalists, silencing politicians, silencing educators, silencing everyone to the extent that you can go around raping, drugging, pimping, and gang raping 12-year-old girls, and everyone is terrified of saying anything because of a word. That is serious mass manipulation.
Mm-hmm. It's worked very well.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Traver, thank you for exposing Jihad. It's awful knowing anyone in Syria who's not Sunni is just waiting to be next. Yeah, imagine having to live there. Very dangerous situation. Here's Sravan Kumar Nuna again, establishing a term called Islamophronia as calculated, factual, rational concern, fear of Islam, and building valid literature around it and popularizing can become a strongly recognizable counter. Well, best of luck with that.
It's not going to catch on. Everyone knows what a phobia is.
People don't know Aphronia. I know what you're talking about because it's the mind of in Greek. It's thinking about it it's a Greek word, but people don't know that.
Yeah, people need to understand the word. So, like, Islamophonia or something like that. Just say that every time someone says Islamophobia. You go, Islamophobia. You go, hey, Islamophonia. Even that won't work.
All right, here's one for you to read.
D Wood in Mohijab voice. Jews all powerful until they're not, but even then, it all part of the plan. Ivy League schools. Anyway.
Okay.
Hey, I don't know if you've been following. Have you been
Yeah,
following
what's
the
no?
epic
What's up?
downfall of
What's
Muhammad
the?
Hijab?
Well, you told me that there were some new developments a few
Oh
days
yeah.
ago, but I don't know what they are.
Yeah, so hijab, it's kind of a minor issue. For years, he's been defending secret second wives and hotel wives and things like that. Um, and so it was obvious he's doing this stuff behind the scenes. He even said in a discussion with Daniel
Oh,
Hakikachu,
you
he
mean he's
estimates,
openly saying this is acceptable practice?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So he's been saying it's fine, and he estimated that 85% of da'is are have been in polygamous, marriages and stuff like this. So
85.
he 85%. So, and keep in mind these are guys who are marrying multiple women that aren't recognized by the state and so on. And he said he knows one guy who had like 30 or 40, one da'i who has like 30 or 40 or 60 kids or something. He had like a ton of kids just from
Mhm.
all these different women that he's banging in Islam.
How does
Um,
he pay for all that? That's an awful lot
well,
of kids to support.
yeah, I don't know how that guy does it. Might be a very popular da'i who gets lots of donations and so on. But Muhammad Hijab was interesting. Wasn't even paying for it. He would get a woman to marry him and then say, "I just want to keep you as a hotel wife and so on,"
Hmm.
and not pay for anything for her. And so one of his victims eventually exposed him. So they agreed to marry. They agreed to marry and so on. She understood that she was going to be kept as a secret from his main legal wife, right? Because the main legal wife had found out about one of his secret marriages before, and she left him for like a year with the kids, and so he didn't want that to happen again. I swear by Allah, I won't do it. But it's like when Muhammad says, "I swear I will not have sex with Mary the Copt again," and then he has to go back and do it anyway. So anyway, he kept doing it, kept marrying these other women and so on. But this woman, once it's basically, hey, yes, I'm gonna provide for you. We're gonna get married. And we're gonna have a life. We're gonna have a family. Just keep it secret from this wife. She agreed to that. She agreed to not tell the wife. But then once they're married and they have sex, then it's okay. I'm not going to provide for you. I'm not going to get you a house. I'm not going to raise a family with you. Any of that. You're my wealth. You're my wife just in the hotel. And she said, no, I didn't agree to that. And then so they get a divorce. And so that could have been the end of it, but it was actually bothering her. It was actually bothering her that Muslim men are treating Muslim women like this. And so she insists she didn't want to expose hijab for doing this. She just insisted, I need to make sure that other Muslim women are warned that guys are doing this and treating them basically like prostitutes. Yes, I'm going to marry you, I'm going to provide. And then you're lying. You're just doing it to get them in bed. Yeah, just doing it to get them in bed. So she wants to warn people. So they actually had an agreement where Ali Dawa would interview her. Ali Dawa would interview her. She wouldn't mention who it is, wouldn't mention hijab. She'd just say this is a thing that she fell victim to, and then warn other Muslim women, you need to take precautions and so on when dealing with these guys. So Ali Dawa recorded the interview. Then Muhammad Hijab had it shut down. Don't ever post that video. Ali Dawa said, okay, whatever you say, hijab, you's bigger than me, yeah. And then she got ticked off because, hey, we had a deal and you guys broke the deal. She still tried dealing with it behind the scenes. And then a Muslim channel behind veils got involved. And they started investigating. They tried to work with Muhammad Hijab behind the scenes. Look, here's what you need to do. You need to give her what she wants, which is her exposing that this is a thing. That's all she wants. She wants, and you need to apologize to her. Hijab couldn't agree. He denied it. I've never married this woman. I have no idea. She's crazy. And so they went ahead and started releasing videos and stuff of all the evidence. Hijab's denying it. He makes a fake account that's supposedly by a third party who's investigating this. Turns out it's all hijab. He did a fake AI generated voice of himself. They made a fake confession from her that was AI generated of her confessing that I was never married to Muhammad Hijab, but then it got ran through the AI tester and said, nope, this is AI. This is a fake AI confession. They took a screenshot from one of her things, and then they doctored it with Photoshop to make it look like, and then blamed her for doctoring it with Photoshop. So it's like all this stuff, and it's like they keep getting caught on this. It's like, what are they doing? Anyway, the most recent video turns out, Robert, Salman, that's like a behind veil guys. Someone is leaking the messages from a private chat group that Muhammad Hijab is in. 75 da'is, all the da'is that you're familiar with are all part of this group, and they're all sitting there figuring out how to discredit this woman by lying. Wow. And he got all the messages and he posted them. And it's Robert, it's actually like seriously messed up. Ali Dawa's like, we're going to push this girl so hard. We have to be careful that she doesn't commit suicide. Mohammed Hijab's, why would we care? She's an enemy of Islam now. Why would we care if we drive her to suicide? And so anyway, Behind Veils posted all. I would recommend watching that video and sharing it, because Dawa is like imploding right now, and it is hilarious to watch. And it's just I'm glad there are some Muslims who have a conscience out there who are actually taking a stand against this stuff. But
so where is this video?
If you go to just Behind Veils, that's the channel. And his most recent video, he's got a bunch of the videos on exposing Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa. But for some reason, this guy's just a like world champion investigator. And I said in a recent thing, he wouldn't like being compared to Israel, but it has like the same dynamic there with this guy versus all these guys that should, be able to overpower. And he's just like completely outsmarting them and destroying them. Wow. It reminds me of like Israel just like outsmarting Hezbollah and like blowing all their testicles off and so on. So
well, that's fantastic. Everybody go over there.
It's awesome.
I'm certainly going to go and watch the video, and I recommend you all do so as well. All right, let's see. The next one is Flippy. To be fair to that Muslim preacher, soccer does suck.
I'll agree to that one.
There you go.
Soccer is the Mike. I just saw a comment about Mike Winger, hideous.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah, I saw that. So I'll just connect the two, and we can all agree that soccer is the Mike Winger of sports.
All right, there you go. Bo Rudder. David, will you buy me Mike Winger's books?
Only if you're going to burn them. And video yourself burning them.
Robert McLean, I remember you issuing a challenge a while back. Were you finding any errors in the Palestinian delusion? Did anyone even try? Yeah, I think that there was a misunderstanding here, because this guy wrote me and he said, yeah, you said $50,000 to find an error, and I found an error, and I want to buy a tennis court or something like that. I forget what he wanted to buy, but anyway, I wasn't issuing some general challenge to anybody that thinks he's going to find something. I was talking to a particular person on Twitter. But anyway, he sent me, that same guy, a bunch of things, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, one of them was he found some mention of Palestinian from early in the 20th century, as if that means there was a Palestinian people, when it's very clear there was no general understanding of any existence of such a people at any point before the 1960s. A couple of scattered mentions don't establish that, and so that was the kind of thing I got back. All right. And we got a super sticker from Christopher Elliott. Thank you. And Harry Stoneworth says, some told me that the phrase Baina Yadaihi means, there you go, means between his hands, or to that effect, but I understand it's an Arabic idiom that means that which came before it. Your thoughts, Surah 548? You seem to be on this, David, so go ahead.
Yeah, Baina Yadehi literally means between the hands, right? So that's literally what it means. Baina, between Yadehi, hands, right? So that's what it literally means. But you have all these passages where the Quran refers to the previous scriptures between the hands, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's used as an argument. Hey, this sounds like something that's still there. If it's the scriptures between the hands, it sounds like something that's still there. And then so the claim is that, well, this is an idiom, which is true. It's an idiom, but the idiom means something along the lines of that which lies before it. So you have to be careful with the word before there, because before can have different meanings, right? Yeah. Like I could say, what were we doing before this show? That's temporal, right? But I can say, here I am standing before Robert, and that means now. The idiom implies strongly something that it's before it in that sense. It lies open before it. It's in front of it. It's in meaning it's still there. So when the Quran is talking about the previous scriptures being Baina Yadehi, even in the idiomatic sense, it means something that's still there. And that doesn't come from me. Yeah, that doesn't come from me. You can, Muhammad Assad, he's got his, I should have it around here somewhere. Muhammad Assad, he has a study Quran, and he's the one who points this out. He says, and he's a guy who believes that the Quran does not line up with the Torah and the Gospel, and so he believes they must have been corrupted to some extent. But he's just honest about the meaning, and he says it means something stronger. It means something significantly stronger than before it in time. It means it has to mean something that he says it refers to a reality with which the Quran is still confronted, meaning it's the previous scriptures are still there.
Yep. Hatun and I are going through the Quran, and it's just very clear, passage after passage, that the Quran assumes the continued existence of the Torah and Gospel that validate the Quran, and does not think that they've been lost at that time. There's no idea of that. Not a Simich, God bless you, my good man. God bless you, not a Simich. And thank you to Princess Kitty. And last one, beam me up, Scotty. Muslim paid for by the state welfare, at least in the West. Muslims see this as part of jizya. Jesus wins in the end. God bless you guys. Well, that about sums it up. That's human history right there. Or at least recent human history in the West. All right, that's it. A lot of jihad going on. Next week we will cover more, should it not stop. And until then, pray, hope, and don't worry.